Unfortunately, in November, December, and January, we experienced horrendous floods across Yorkshire, which we saw damage made to our pitch and the ground and the clubhouse. And matches were extremely limited as well, weren't they? Looking back, how hard was it to virtually stop playing for that amount of time?
At the time, it wasn't too bad at the time. It wasn't. I mean, we were on a decent run at that time, so to pick up momentum, there's always that fear because we didn't really get going again until January time. It was more the fear that the backlog of fixtures come at the end of the season, and that proved to be, not just for us as a football club, but for everyone else. You know, there are a lot of teams in the same boat as us. Training wise, we maintained it. The lads came in, they put shift in, and I think long term that paid. You know, towards the back end of the season when we needed them to play 9 games in the best part of 2 weeks, you know, they come through that. So we were devastating for the town more than anything else, and I think, you know, that resilience we talked about sort of came out of that period. The floods, Sunny, all that kind of stuff was really, really in the news at that time. So for us as a football club, you know, it was just a case of making sure that we did the right thing, and fair play to the lads. They came in all over Christmas, you know, and they worked hard, really, really hard. And I think after Christmas, I think we won 8 or 9 on the bounce when we went into January.
We then beat Worksop again, this time in the FA Vars in December. Before going up to Sunderland RCA in the next round, how disappointed were you to lose 4-0 in the competition where I've got a massive chance to go to Wembley?
Probably our worst performance of the season, and I think there were a number of factors that really, really. I think having beat Worksop in the previous round, who themselves had been quite far in the competition the year before, and it was almost like not a welcome relief that we'd got through that tie. But then the Sunderland game, it was on, it was off. We started travelling on the Saturday, we got halfway up there, we had to turn around, we come back. By then it was too late to train, so we lost all momentum. Tuesday night we set off, then we got word that it might be off. And it just, anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong for us that night. But let's not take anything away from our opponents, who absolutely shredded us on the night. By far the best performance of any team we've played this year. And it just happened for them on the night, and the kid up top got the hat-trick, and it was a brilliant hat-trick. And we, you know, I can't even pretend we were in the game, because we weren't. You know, and it were hard work. And again, you know, we could have panicked at that stage and that, but we didn't turn into a bad team overnight. What we did there was, we didn't earn the right to play, and we didn't earn the right to win the football match. And you know, we have to give them credit, because no one else has done that to us this year.
We then signed Connor Sells and John O'Green in December as well. How much of a boost did them to bring to the squad?
Well, Connor had played for me at Harrogate Railway when Simon first brought him back. Simon Weaver brought him back and took him to Harrogate Town, and had been alerted to him, but at that time I'd brought him into the squad, and Connor needed game time, so at the time we had a really, really good relationship between Harrogate Railway and Harrogate Town. So Simon spoke to me, we talked about it, and we brought Connor in. He played a couple of games for us, and so I knew just how good Connor could be and how influential he'd been. He'd had a bit of a stop-start season, and you know, I know the kid is disappointed in the season that he's had, not from a collective point of view, as in a team point of view. He's had a brilliant time and really enjoyed it, but from a personal point of view, it was a little bit stop-start for him, and he's never been able to really get going. So, but I think if you look at some of his performances, you can see the true potential that lies in the player. And you know, he's a great kid on and off the pitch, does a lot for us, and he's a great addition to the football club. And Connor will have his day for definite within this team. Jono just got better and better. 38-year-old, and I think I've sat in the changing rooms in one game recently, and I don't often raise my voice, I don't often shout, but I made the other 10 players aware that a 38-year-old was our best worker on the football pitch that day. And that's just testament to just how well he looks after himself. He brings a calming influence to it. He's so humble. It's just Matt Eve's exactly the same. To think that they've played at Richard, when we had Richard playing for us, to think they've played at the highest level of football, and then to bring them in a changing room like that, I think it's a huge boost to everyone involved.
into 2016. We finally returned to action after 73 days off, I believe it was,
That one it was.
with a hard-fought 3-1 win away at Brig Town. A Jimmy Beadle hat-trick saws over the line that day, but how good has Jimmy been as a captain this season, in your opinion?
Well, Jimmy became captain after the Rainworth game. First game away at Barton, and started his captain's reign with a defeat. But yeah, no, he's been brilliant around the changing room this year. He's a great character, he's great fun. He don't take things too seriously. He's good to have around it. He's good with the young lads. He knows when to turn it on. He knows when to turn it off. Mm-hmm. He's very, very respectful as an individual. And I thought his hat-trick at Brig was probably one of his finest moments in the season, because we needed to win that game. You know, we needed to get up and running straight away. When you think Brig eventually beat Handsworth, which put us back in the driving seat. So we knew it weren't going to be easy. We knew it was going to be difficult, and it was a brilliant hat-trick from Jimmy. I think his header were absolutely outstanding from a Clayton cross. So yeah, it's been a big plus for us this year.
30 yards, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is shit.
Bubbled up. We actually beat Worksop for the third time in the season in January, which was strangely at Selby due to the floods. Another 4-1 win as well. But that was another memorable match, wasn't it? With all our fans packed in behind the goal in that stand.
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we went on record at the time that Ralph at Selby, chairman of Selby, had liaised with Matt, and they looked after us so well on that day. And you know, because it was up in the air, where we're going to play, how we're going to play, and you know, when you look back and look at the pictures of the ground at the time, and to think we actually played again on that stadium is absolutely gobsmacking, and a massive vote of thanks needs to go to Wakey, who did so much with it as a groundsman, and that, and everyone else who was involved. You know, I've been down there when Matt Gore and Jimmy and Kent have been down there picking twigs and leaves, and Danny's been orchestrating it all, and you know, to think that we've actually played again is phenomenal. But on that day in particular, to go across to Selby, it was brilliant for us. It was a great day. It was a great performance. You know, I thought on the day we if you wanted a lesson in how to counter attack at a good level of football, then I think that was probably our best counter attacking performance of the season, because we just soaked up the pressure. They're very good with the football. Worksop. But what we set out to do was keep them playing in front of us, not to panic, not to let them in key areas, and we played with an outlet of a wide player. And what we'd said to the two wide players was, if Worksop are attacking down your side, we expect you to be tucked in. If they're not on your side, you're our outlet, and you need to be close enough to affect, but close enough for us to instigate the attack. And Baker's class at that. He's done it for me so many times, and you know, he instigated so many of the counter attacks and got himself into good positions. And then the goals from Beadle again that day. He scored a great volley, Josh Green in as well. You know, so another great day for the football club, and another statement of intent.
Into February, another two huge late goals. Starting off Adam Baker at Pontefract, and then Josh Greening's extraordinary goal in the 93rd minute at Bridlington, which sent Batman and Robin, aka the owners, into ecstasy. How good were them two results, and what do you put our last minute success down to?
If we'd have picked up two draws, we'd have finished on the same number of points as Handsworth. We'd have probably still won the league because of how many goals we scored, but it'd have made things a lot tenser and a lot tighter. So you look at the 4 points that we picked up at Ponty and at Bridlington, additional to what we could have picked up, because both games were ready for a draw without a doubt. I think the Ponty one was more a little bit one-sided. I think they had a couple of early chances early on when they could have got their noses in front, but I think in terms of chances, we probably had the most in the football match, way above them, and it just looked like we were going to run out of time. And then when it dropped to Bakes in the box, you know, it was class. It was a brilliant finish. He kept his, he got his body over the top of it. He kept his shot down, and he just guided it through a mass of players, and there was no recovery for them from that moment forward. The Brid one, that was slightly different, because they were good. They were good. Gary had organised.
Wasn't the best game, was it? I think it's fair to
say.
But
the two teams cancelled each other out, and I speak to Gary quite a lot, and I spoke to him a lot across the course of the season. I know him from my Liversidge days, and he's always been very, very good to me. Gary is, he's one of the gentlemen of this league without a doubt, and I've sent him a message today because they play tonight. It was a stalemate, a real stalemate.
It looked like I had nails written all over it from the spring.
It just looked like, and then Jace pops up with the coolest ball he's played in his life, and it was funny because we'd pushed Josh out onto the left-hand side, and he'd had a bit of a moan and a groan at us because he weren't up top, and then afterwards said to him, if we'd have left you central, you wouldn't have been out there. You'd have been nowhere near it. A brilliant finish, absolutely brilliant finish in behind the back four, and like you say, how can you forget the owners of the football club, Batman and Robin? It was absolutely priceless.
Yeah, we'll never forget that, certainly. We finally returned home in late January. A 4-1 victory against Liverpool, which was incredibly emotional afternoon due to Sonny's passing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a real difficult period for the football club, and not just the current crop of players, but players who played certainly last year and the year before, and certainly for Paul, the manager, who knew her very, very well and did the reading along with Matt, but more Paul did. Brilliant job at Sonny's funeral. It was absolutely first class and a real credit, not just to him as a person, but to the whole community, and the way they've dealt with it, and the bridge being opened, and and out of every tragedy you've got to try and take something positive out of it. And I think what I said at the time was that she had an infectious enthusiasm that you just couldn't help but, when you mention her name, you smile about her. You can see her now dishing out her rollickins to people, and she was such a good kid and lived life to the full. And we should all take heart from that. For most of us, when we're down in the dumps and we're moaning and groaning, there's a kid who went through so much, and yet always managed to find a smile from somewhere. So. Yeah, a very difficult period for the football club, certainly for the family. On top of obviously the floods as well, but we know now. I think Anna was at the final game of the season when we won the league, and to see her enjoying herself on the pitch and looking up and knowing that Sonny would be looking down on us is great for us.